It was a moment that defined Vegeta as a fighter as he engaged himself against the most powerful and dangerous competitor in the Tournament of Power, as even after giving it everything he had, it was still no match for Jiren's might as he left Vegeta laying in a crater, seemingly lifeless, but despite having to be beaten almost within an inch of his life, Vegeta isn't finished with Jiren yet. What is going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome to my Dragon Ball Super episode 123 review entitled Body and Soul Full Power Release, Goku and Vegeta, as we make our way towards Dragon Ball Super episode 124 next week, which promises to be a very engaging episode considering that with brand new leaked images we get to see how Gohan separates himself from fighting Topo and engaging himself directly with Dispo as time begins to dwindle as we near the end of the Tournament of Power with minutes having to remain. And again, if you guys like the Dragon Ball content that I provide on this channel, then make sure you guys punch that subscribe button with notifications enabled to be the first to receive all the latest in Dragon Ball content and be a part of the Dragon Ball squad. And also don't forget to follow me on these social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, to stay connected with me at all times, hashtag Dragon Ball Squad, as we roll into Dragon Ball Super episode 123 with our boy Vegeta having to get the spotlight once again. Now, the structural format for this episode wasn't as detailed as last week's, but that doesn't mean that we weren't able to see something spectacular as both Kaioken Goku and Vegeta teamed up in fighting Jiren 2-on-1 as we kick off Dragon Ball Super episode 123 exactly where we left off, with Jiren standing above Vegeta overlooking his body, and the music from Sumitomo was so ominous because Vegeta's on the ground, we see his hand, he's twitching, Goku runs to his aid, he wants to make sure that Vegeta's doing alright, and it actually is very amazing to see how Jiren acknowledges Vegeta as being a warrior and actually acknowledging him more so than how he did Goku. And we see how Belmont and Beerus and everyone else seems to be talking about how powerful Jiren is and how honored everyone is to stand before his presence. And the Omni Kings, one of them actually imitated Jiren by turning his back, because that's the first thing Jiren actually did when putting down Vegeta. He turned around and didn't even acknowledge either of them, either Goku or Vegeta. And Vegeta's trying to stand back up and he says that he can tell that Jiren's not at full power. So it's confirmed by Vegeta himself that Jiren hasn't been using his full power at all, not even remotely close. And as this happens, Goku pretty much leaves Vegeta be and he powers up via unleashing more of his Super Saiyan Blue power. And as Jiren turns around to acknowledge Goku, we get another shot of Dispo just throwing Frieza all throughout the tournament stage. It's actually pretty mesmerizing to see how Frieza was getting tossed around, and Dispo seems to be enjoying the moment, and that's when Frieza pretty much dusts himself off and saying, you know, why do you think that level of attack would defeat me? I mean, do you really believe it would? And Dispo is at complete disbelief right now because Final Form Frieza, although he's been getting tossed around, he doesn't seem to be injured. And what I really did acknowledge and like about this is the fact that Frieza seems to be having a good time. And then he points his finger out, and what I really liked about this was the fact that he finally begins to unleash more of his death beams, but his death beams can't seem to connect because Dispo's way too fast for him. So it just goes to show that Frieza isn't really having that much of a difficult time, but he's still acknowledging Dispo's speed. And Dispo seems to be getting away and not being caught by Frieza's death beams. Now, over on the other side, we see how Mr. Eggman, aka Topo, is running away from 17's blast. He grabs Gohan's leg, he's throwing him around. Topo seems to be formidable, but also I will acknowledge the fact that even with 2-on-1, Topo is still holding his own relatively well against both of them. So I also noticed a bit of reused animation for Topo, courtesy of the Zen exhibition match when he fought Goku, but either way, I mean, seeing his fight with 17 and Gohan, when he grabbed Gohan and threw him towards 17's direction, 17 pretty much took initiative in trying to come up with a game plan to stop him, and as Topo grabs 17's arm as they continue to engage, prior to that, 17 proposes that he and Gohan try out like a new combo to see if they can catch Topo off guard. So as 17 engages, as I just said, Topo grabs his arm, and it looks like 17 is about to get his arm broken, because that's essentially what he does. It looks like he kind of like is ready to break 17's arm, and during all of this, 17 actually uses a shield to repel Gohan's Kamehameha, because that was Gohan's initial strategy was to use the Kamehameha again. And what's interesting is because of the shield that 17 put up and the Kamehameha force, it was actually strong enough in pushing Topo by the edge of the ring. And Topo acknowledges this, but he doesn't seem to be that concerned. Now, going back to Goku and Jiren, I loved how there was a moment of tension because you can see based on Goku's demeanor that he really doesn't know what to do, because as he's in fighting stance, he seems to acknowledge the fact that Jiren isn't even trying, but he himself realizes that he's at a point where he has to, you know, just go all out, otherwise he's going to be the next one to go. And while all of this is happening, we see how Shin points out and wonders what Goku's trying to do. He seems like he should be out of options, but it looks like he's actually thinking about something. So it's very notable how all of a sudden he uses instant transmission to try and get behind Jiren, and as he does this, he's actually shooting like these little beams on the ground. So he's using instant transmission to his advantage, and all of the little sparkles that we saw during Dragon Ball Super episodes 123's preview, we saw those little sparkles on the ground, and it's because of this, as a result from Goku, of course, being the one to place all of these little energy-like orbs on the ground, he laced them all around Jiren, and it looked like sort of like a little landmine per se, because as Goku's outmaneuvering Jiren, Jiren's just casually shooting, and Goku gets on top of the cliff. He's tired because he's huffing and puffing, and Jiren's looking at him like, what are you doing? And what I really liked about this was each time Jiren took a step, those little energy orbs that Goku laid on the floor went off. So it was almost as if Goku pretty much laid up a landmine, and I really enjoyed that because I think that's the first time, in my opinion, I've ever seen anyone do that before in Dragon Ball, in terms of Goku at least, because I've never really ever seen Goku lay down some like energy mines on the floor, and Jiren wasn't even able to basically tell where they were. As he took the first step, all of them started going off. So Goku looked up, and Jiren, once again, you know, he wasn't phased in the least, and he's hovering over, you know, Goku. And what I really noted about this was the fact that Jiren was hovering, but it looked like he was flying. So it was really weird to see that. But as, you know, Goku acknowledges the fact that Jiren is unscathed, then Goku begins to unleash Destructo Discs. And what Jiren was doing to avoid the Destructo Discs, what he ended up punching them. He ended up pretty much knocking all of the Destructo Discs out of orbit. Like, it's scary to see how one of his punches was hard enough to break through a Super Saiyan Blue Destructo Disc. So as this is happening, you know, we see a piece of like one of the rocks like hover over the edge of the ring, and Jiren is knocking Goku backwards more so. And I'm telling you right now, the way Jiren was fighting Goku in this episode, it was like a blood sport match with like Jean-Claude Van Damme. It was sad to see because Goku, despite everything that he was trying to do, wasn't able to do a damn thing. And what I really liked about this was the fact that Jiren, it looked like he put a lot of energy into his fist as he knocked Goku down. And because of this, as a result, he looked like he was about to punch Goku's lights out. But then all of a sudden, those exact Destructo Discs that were aiming right towards Jiren came back, and they sliced some of the rocks that were surrounding Jiren. So Jiren wasn't able to, I guess you could say, deliver the final blow, because all of a sudden the ground beneath Jiren began to break, and Goku's laughing as his eyes are closed. And what I really enjoyed about this was the fact that Goku's instant transmission is what helped him here, because he was using more or less of that and teleports behind Jiren and kicks him down. So Goku, even though using the Kianzan and doing everything he had to in order to reinsure his position, what I really enjoyed is how he executed the instant transmission perfectly alongside the Kianzan and alongside several other attacks that put him at an advantage, even though he was significantly weaker than Jiren. And as a result, when Goku knocked Jiren out of the ring, because that's exactly what happened, all of a sudden, some of the wackiest things ever happened. Now, Jiren gets this glow all throughout his body, and within an instant, we see how he's bouncing off of like these little tiny rocks with his foot, and he repels himself back in the ring. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen, because technically speaking, Jiren was knocked out of the ring by Goku. And it's because of all of the debris that was falling behind Jiren, he was able to outmaneuver his way up just so effectively, to where as he got back in the ring, he was once again stepping on Goku's landmines, and he walked right through. And Goku pretty much shat his pants. I shat my pants as I was watching this, because as he was able to come back in the ring, we see this red aura all around him. He grabs Goku by the leg, and he's flinging him all around the stage. And there was like a little shot where he got in Goku's face, and he just looked at him like, are you serious right now? And once again, he began to give him a beating. So as I said earlier, the animation wasn't as amazing or as breathtaking as last week, but the overall strategic portion of this episode was definitely utilized better than last week's. Now, as Jiren fights Goku, he begins to unleash more of his power, and as he powers up, Belmont says it's been a long time since he's actually seen Jiren like this, and he's actually very surprised that Jiren is even using more of his power to begin with. Now, as Jiren powers up, Goku powers up, and now they're exchanging blows, they're going back and forth, and I'll be honest, Goku didn't look like he had any sort of chance, even though this fight with Blue Goku and Jiren was a lot better than episode 109's portrayal. I was still wondering to myself as to, even while this was happening, as to how far back Jiren was holding, onto more of his power than using that against Goku during this fight, because it's as clear as day that he wasn't really trying. That's the overall message of this episode. And as they continue to fight, Jiren unleashed such an attack that it caused Goku to literally power down from Super Saiyan Blue. And as he fired off the same sort of energy punch that he was charging before, it freaks Goku out. I've never seen Goku get freaked out like this, because with such force, it caused Goku to power down. And it was very alarming, because everyone at the tournament stage was saying to themselves as to, what the heck, like, what is this? And as Goku powers down, all of a sudden, Jiren unleashes these rapid punches. They were so quick. What this personally reminded me of, and even though it has no connection to Dragon Ball Super, it reminded me as to how fast Gogeta was against Omega, because you weren't able to see anything. That's how quick, Jiren's punches were against Goku, in the idea that you literally couldn't see anything. Like, he threw so many punches, Goku was like, he was on spaghetti legs. He stood there in front of Jiren, and again, it just goes to show the depth and magnitude of his power, because as he delivered all these shots, Goku says he's never been hit as hard as he just did, according to Herms, but he can't turn his back now. So as he got hit by Jiren, he wasn't really, that hurt. He was just more or less like on silly string like legs, and as he's there, he's talking to Jiren, all of a sudden you see Vegeta's leg just pretty much stomp on down, and here comes Vegeta to make the save, and Goku and Vegeta both begin to power up, and Goku uses the Kaioken while Vegeta is powering up, and the first thing he starts to think about is Kaba. Now, this is big. This is big because we understand that both of them are going into this fight knowing the fact that they have to give it their all, otherwise they're pretty much screwed. So Vegeta powers up, Goku powers up, Goku begins to rock the Kaioken as Vegeta's powering up. Now, according to what was done with Vegeta, Vegeta says, I must keep my promise to Kaba, so I have to overcome my limits in my own way. I will defeat you, Jiren. So as they both power up, Vegeta is tapping into a new power that, he can only achieve himself. And as Goku uses Kaioken, we see how Vegeta slowly begins to morph as well. And as a result from this, his hair begins to glow. And I'm telling you all right now, it was the music behind this. It was everything about Vegeta thinking about Kaba that really surprised me, because, and again, we will talk about this in a live stream, it was because of a direct result of him thinking about Kaba that forced him into unlocking this new power. So reminiscent, going back to even the Cell Saga when Gohan thought about 16, that's the overall message that was conveyed in this episode, was Vegeta kept thinking about Kaba, and Piccolo can tell that Vegeta's power is different than Blue, different than how he's ever seen seen before because the amount of energy pouring out of his body, and the Grand Prix says that Vegeta has broken right through his limits, which again isn't really Ultra Instinct per se, but he did break past Super Saiyan Blue in achieving a different level in which, as he transformed, he looked very, very cool. Now, what's unique about this is the fact that Jiren says to Goku and Vegeta, "Come." And, you know, I mean, Goku and Vegeta aren't gonna hesitate. So what I loved about Vegeta is the fact that we see how, based on his pupils, his hair, the veins, it reminded me so much of Mastered Super Saiyan Blue. Although it looked different in design, it's still something to where Vegeta's power could potentially, you know, match Kaioken in his own respect, given that this is his own transformation separate than Goku's. Now, here's the thing. When Goku and Vegeta fought Jiren at the same time, it looked visually orgasmic, but by the very end, even with the music being so significant, Jiren was unscathed. I really, honest to God, don't know how they're gonna beat him now, because Whis says that Goku and Vegeta's coordination isn't perfect, but on the flip side, they were able to throw Jiren off guard. And even with that, Jiren asks, you know, if that's all they have. And by the very end, obviously, we end off on a cliffhanger with them having to just wait there, but Jiren wasn't even fazed by this. And that in and of itself is just utterly terrifying. But in the end, I would like to know what you guys have to say down in the comment section below. What did you guys think about this episode? Did you guys enjoy the episode? Did you guys dislike the episode? Did you guys find the episode logical? Or do you believe that there were certain moments in this episode that just didn't make any sense? I would like to know your thoughts down below. Post your comments down below as to how you guys feel. And again, make sure to come back for the breakdown review, as I am going to more or less share my in-depth opinion in revisiting the episode on Crunchyroll.com. So post your comments down below, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys love Dragon Ball, don't forget to go ahead and punch that subscribe button, guys. Enable all notifications to be the first to know about all the latest in Dragon Ball news, as there is just so much content and so much things to talk about, especially having to go back and looking at everything that went down between Vegeta and Goku and Frieza and Dispo and Topo and 17 and Gohan. So much has happened, and I do believe that this was the definition of what the Tournament of Power is supposed to be. Having to take that into context, we understood that despite whatever it was that Goku and Vegeta did, it was literally useless against Jiren. So more to come, guys. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section, guys. Have a great day. Peace.